Hey guys, I'm Alexis Dennehy and I'm here on North Brisbane Psychologist because in a moment I'm going to be inviting our very favourite Dr. Rachel Hannam to join us. We're trialling a new technology today, so we're super excited about this. While Rachel pops up, we're trialling a new technology today. Yay! Yay! Hi Lisa. While Rachel pops up, I'll just let you know I'm a public health practitioner. That's how I came to be working. Well, actually, I came to be working with Dr. Rachel Hannam through social means. But as we shared our practices, our personal practices in meditation and our professional practices as therapists, we came to see that we wanted to offer high quality psychology services to you, our dear community. And so I bring a public health perspective. I also bring a somatic experiencing perspective that comes from my background in yoga therapy and naturopathy. And Rachel brings her, she brings her PhD in burnout, and she brings over 10 years in as a clinical psychologist. She's the principal psychologist here at North Brisbane Psychologists. So welcome guys. Hi Stephanie, hello Nicole, hello Denise, hey Frank, and Rachel, you're here. Okay, hi Deborah. Okay Rachel, let's see. So I'm getting the option to bring a few of you on. I'm just not getting the option to bring you on, Rachel. So we'll just keep going. Maybe if I trial a few options. Today, while I'm waiting for this option to pop up, we're talking about love. Does it get any better? We're talking about both romantic love or eros or erotic love, and we're also talking about self-love. And for our NVC practitioners or our NVC community, NVC, for those of you that don't know, is non-violent communication, and we meet monthly to practice this. For our NVCers, you may notice that love is both a feeling, so we can describe the quality of love. Is it soft? Is it enlivening? Is it full? And we can also describe love as a need, and that is quite a different experience in my body. For me, love as a need it's actually kind of a sadness in some ways. So we'll get an opportunity to touch on that today. Oh, Mia, thank you, my darling. I've got a button that says request NBP, a join request. Oh, Rachel, thanks, darling. Have you got an option to join? Yes, I can see that you guys are showing me how to do it. I wonder why. And our other alternative is for you to come back on Zoom and we could have a chat like this. I mean, that works, right? We're getting multi-technical here, but I think that's an option. I would just speak to you, Rachel, as though your lovely face is here and we can share the conversation like that. That might be the way to go because I can see your response. No, can't see that. Shall I call? I'm not sure that calling is going to work. Let me see if you can make it back onto Zoom. I'm thinking Rachel might be our best because if you're calling, I'm on my phone now. I'll have one little practice. Guest requests. This looks good. Allow viewers to request to join. But just not you, Rachel. And I'm wondering whether it's because you are an admin on this page. Perhaps that's a hindrance. So while we're waiting for Rachel to jump back on Zoom, then, oh, there you are. Yay, she's here. You might be connecting with love. I mean, you love us, we hope. So hopefully you're starting to connect with your feelings, and when you see this beautiful face, you are going to recognize Rachel Hannam represents to me, a form of love in the form of compassion. Hello, Rachel. We made it. Oh, hang on, my darling. Sorry. Hello, can we hear you?
Yes, but I think we're going to get some kickback with the audio. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I'm not getting any kickback. If you're listening, guys, let us know how the audio is. This is great. This reminds me of when I was a teenager and I used to take photos of Johnny Depp on 21 Jump Street. That was an early form of eros. So,
yes. Speaking of which, I'd like to ask you some questions about your early experiences of love, Alexis.
Oh, this is going to get interesting. Thank you, Rachel. And so long as you're happy for me to ask you the same questions, that way it will contain it to at least PG. Go on, shoot, I'm ready.
Screens within screens.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. And thanks, Steph. Oh, thanks, Frank. That's good. And Mia. Yay. That's good confirmation. All right. Fire away. What have you got?
Well, I have never really asked you, that I can remember, when you first fell in love. And I want to preface that question by saying that hopefully for most of us, the first time we sort of fell in love was with our mother or with our parents when we were very young, and we don't remember kind of love and attachment we felt for them when we were a baby. But I'm talking about romantic love. When was the first time you felt strong romantic love for someone?
Oh, okay. The first time I remember in my body, well, I was pretty young. I think I was 4. And I'm going to try and like de-identify here. But we were on holidays, and we were on holidays with another family, and I do remember, and it was eros. Like, I was young, but I had for me, eros is in my pelvis, and I do remember sitting on my mum's lap. Maybe I was in a 4-wheel drive, and in those days you didn't need a seatbelt, so there was lots of bouncing. That may be what had stimulated the eros, and I remember thinking about this young boy who was my age, and we ended up getting married with a Coke bottle ring. So we obviously, it was mutuality, and that's my very first experience of being in love. What about you, Rachel? Can I ask you now, or do you want to go through a series first?
That's a very sweet story. A series of, what do you mean by a series?
Well,
like go through some different types of love?
Have you got a series of questions, or can I ask you?
A series of questions.
Yeah.
I do, but they're chronological, so maybe we should like take it slow. I'm happy to answer. The first person I fell in love with,
yes.
I'm happy to name him, even though he's my Facebook friend.
No
I still know this.
Oh my God.
His name was Andrew Clark. And he
Andrew! I hope he's watching. Can we tag him?
He won't be watching.
Oh my God, he should know. Does he know?
Apologies, not his thing. He would know.
Okay.
And I haven't seen him since high school, but I did find him on Facebook. But he's not really on there. He never goes on there from what I could see last time I looked. He had curly hair and green eyes, and was really smart and tall, and we caught the bus together. We lived in the same suburb, and he went to the boys' school and I went to the girls' school, and he took up all the real estate in my head for many months.
How old were you?
Probably for a few months before I got to kiss him in the school holidays between grade 8 and grade 9.
Oh.
And then and then he broke up with me when school went back, and I was devastated, truly devastated. And even though we'd only been together, I don't know, a few weeks or something as boyfriend and girlfriend, I think it took me 6 months to get over him or more. And this was such a new experience to me as a high school kid, that it was just overwhelming and shocking, and I felt elated and then devastated. I felt shame and isolation. I think because I was young and under-resourced, I think I thought I was the only person in the world who ever felt like this.
So personal. Oh, okay. I've heard a lot about the breakup. It's amazing that you've got a lot of language around the breakup, but I'm interested in the language around the experience of love, your first experience, because it's, love, our definition of love evolves as we gain different experiences of it, right? But what was your experience as a year 8? So what is that, 14, 13, year 8 girl?
Yeah, well, I was passionate about this boy before I'd even spoken to him.
Right, so seeing him, do you remember the feeling when you saw him?
Oh, it's that cliche feeling of just butterflies in the stomach and heart racing and total elation and total infatuation. And, I believe these days it's driven by dopamine, this intense motivation to go after something and a desire to bond. And like you had all the fantasies. I had all the fantasies of being with this boy, and they weren't even particularly sexual. There were things like, I imagined studying together and how exciting it would be to sit together and study and read a book together.
Oh, no, that represents your values, you big nerd. Okay, and then as it evolved and blossomed, before the kiss, do you remember what that was like? At 13, your hormones have changed. You're starting to, you're reaching the beginning of your sexual maturity. I imagine there would have been, what was the experience then for you?
Yeah, well, it was because I was in the early stages of puberty. It was quite shocking.
Oh, yes.
This is exactly how we've evolved and been we're hardwired for this. That's what puberty is for, to motivate us towards pair bonding so we can reproduce.
Yes.
And I just remember thoughts of everything else faded into the background. Everything that had been once more important to me became irrelevant, and all I thought about day and night was this boy. It's not a very good state to be in for a long time, because you don't get a lot of other things done sometimes.
Yes, so distracting.
But it was a beautiful, magical feeling.
Okay, Mia is letting us know that she thinks she was 10 years old when she first fell in love. Would you like to just let us know how old you were when you first had your experience of love? Something that you can define as a romantic form of love. Let us know how old you were. And Mia, if you're ready to let us know some of the sensations, some of the words that describe your experience. Rachel's got distracted, lots of fantasy. Let us know. All right, great question, Rachel.
My next question for you.
Yes, please.
Is about other forms of love, because as we were chatting before we went live, the Greeks defined 6 forms of love, and romantic love or erotic love is only one.
Okay.
So we also have the love we might have towards children, and the love we might have towards friends.
Okay, yes.
So familial love is what they called it in ancient Greece, and then platonic love is what we might have with friends.
Yes.
So I wonder, when did you first have a really strong love in a friendship? Was it in primary school or later? Do you remember?
Yeah, I've had some beautiful friends, like lots of close besties. I can talk about my platonic love for you, Rachel. Would that be suitable? Or do you want me to go back? You want me to go back in time?
You choose.
Never miss an opportunity to espouse your love for one of your closest friends. Okay, well, I'll talk about my best friend in high school, because my best friends in primary school, I do remember we used to spy. We would we had fun. It was quite imaginative. And then there was my dear neighbour. I can mention her, Anna Kerrison. She was just, we used to collect things together. We used to share our dreams of having a horse. We used to, platonic love was, I would say it was simple and delightful and imaginative. We used to play with cats. It was very, very playful. Platonic love is playful to me. I mean, romantic love can be, but that friendship is light, easy, simple. That's how I would describe my first platonic love.
Yeah, that resonates for me as well. I remember a really gorgeous friendship in year 5 with a girl named Monica, and she had broken her leg, so we got to stay in the classroom every lunch hour for about 3 months, and we had so much fun, just the two of us with no supervision, messing up the classroom. And it was that real play and that real intimacy, sharing secret thoughts. And so one more question for you, because I want to sort of bring all this storytelling into a simple theory, which I love, of love, which I love. What was it like for you once you had a child? What was that kind of love like for you?
I'm going to press pause just for 1 second on that, what it was like for the love of a child, which I'm obviously keen to answer, but I'm seeing that Mia has responded to the distraction and the fantasy around holding hands and walking around the school together.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, nothing very interesting. My God, any story of love is interesting, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So the child, the love of a child. Birth for me, as I think it is for many women, but for some more than others, was transformative, and I mean that in every meaning of the word. So when I gave birth to my daughter, the only way I could describe it was of feeling born again, and there was a sense of everything being very crystal clear and fresh and vibrant. So I can only imagine that was a big surge of oxytocin, and very, very open. And my placenta, there was some, I had some retained placenta which only came out later, and I do distinctly remember when that happened, I had this extra burst of openness, and the only way I can kind of describe it is that my body was very open, and emotionally I just felt very open. So with my daughter, we went kind of back into primal love. I remember her beautiful head, the shape of her head and her face. Like, I'm still infatuated with her, like her profile. She's got these beautiful cheeks, and I remember wanting to make my face like her face because she just has this smooth face. And breastfeeding her was absolutely divine.
And in everything you're saying, I relate to it so much. And there's such a feeling of devotion. I think once you have a child, and it might feel the same with our parents for some of us, but there's a feeling of, I'll love you no matter what. Yes. There's a feeling of, this relationship is permanent.
Yes. Okay, so unconditional, no matter what, it's lasting. And devotional, I can definitely relate to too with a child. There's an act of service, and in a way that is very different to all other relationships, which can be transient, whereas this one is for life, even more than a life partner with a child. Yeah, what was your experience, Rachel, of mine?
I remember when I relate very much to the first child coming along, just absolute mind-blowing feelings of love and openness that I hadn't really had before. When I had my third child, I remember looking at her on the bed. I was in a new marriage, a new relationship, and I remember having such strong thoughts about, I'm going to be so devoted to you. And the feelings of devotion really came out strongly the third time. And I had learned, when I was an undergrad student, many, many, many years earlier, I'd learned Sternberg's triangle model of love, which is very basic. The triangle model of love is that there are forms of love that involve intimacy, the second one is passion, and the third one is commitment.
Intimacy,
and we may only have
passion,
one of
commitment.
those
Yes,
forms
yes.
of love in a relationship, or we may have two, and if we've got extremely lucky, we may have three. But certainly in a mother-child or parent-child relationship, you'd hope that the commitment side of love or the devotional side of love would be quite strong, and the intimacy as well with the young child, as you described, with say breastfeeding or cuddling, but the passion's not there because it's not a romantic relationship, although you might be very passionate about your child in some ways. So just wanted to introduce Sternberg's triangle model of love just as a way of kind of considering the different types of love. The word love covers so many different things.
So commitment, passion, and what was the third one?
Intimacy, which we might have with the friends. How we were talking before about our childhood friends and the kind of intimacy that you had there, sharing your jokes and your secrets and your activities.
Okay, so how might we apply Sternberg's triangle of love? How does that serve us to understand love, to reflect on how we might enhance our relationships? Any suggestions there, Rachel?
Well, yeah, as I'm revisiting it for this live stream, I'm thinking at least the first two are sort of needs and values. Even though love is often thought of as a feeling, intimacy is a need or a value, isn't it? If we value intimacy, yes, it's an instinctive, spontaneous part of relationships and of love, but we can also develop skills for intimacy. Yes, commitment seems to be there so naturally, say for a parent and a child, and yet in the Gottman method we work on commitment with couples and we define it, and we help people cultivate commitment and overcome barriers to commitment. That's part of couples therapy with some individuals. And the third element in Sternberg's theory is passion. Again, that's about showing interest and excitement, and maybe some devotion is in there as well. So love is active in Sternberg's model as well, that we get better at doing these things.
Okay, so it may be that we can even acknowledge, okay, well, if I'm thinking about my romantic relationship, I might think, passion is definitely there, intimacy is definitely there, and commitment, is that something that I can work on? Maybe I could identify which is my weaker and invest in that. If passion is my weakest, I might consider, what ways might I move towards or turn towards passion, whether that is bringing in more emotional content, or whether it's doing something creative together. That certainly would tap into, or something more sensual. I can see how we might use that triangle. Thank you for introducing that, Rachel. And before we go on, hello Sarah, and Libby has got some beautiful comments around her experiences, so I might just share those. Libby says, my first romantic love outwardly, interesting, was about 12, I think, and I agree with Alexis, it was in my pelvis. And the butterflies feeling, which you described, Rachel. But the first time feeling love, romantic love towards me, was 15, and I was amazed at the feeling of being loved, the validation I felt at the time of being romantically loved. Thank you for sharing, Libby. And then her first bestie was twins. The first example of intimacy and trust outside of bloodlines. I was 7, and this bliss of knowing peers were on my side and strong connection. You still embody that, Libby. Having these beings be there and listen to all the oddities and the fun and trust. It was bliss. Friendship is bliss. Thank you, Libby. And I can see that Libby's put a link on the types of love we experience, which sounds very similar to what you've described, Rachel.
Yeah, that was Sternberg's triangular theory of love. Thank you for posting that, Libby.
Yeah, Steph says that she's finding it hard to recall the first time feeling love besides when I got my fur babies. Yes, as I was always feeling unsafe, even when it came to friendships. Oh, yes, Steph. you're not alone in longing for safety and needing safety. That's our base level. And yeah, fur babies are a perfect way to build that safe, secure attachment and connection. So yes, hopefully that will be translating more and more to your human babies, your
And
skin
Steph,
babies.
if you don't mind me, Steph's been in our face-to-face community, and I hope that maybe, Steph, you find, as I do and many of us do, that there is a level of intimacy and a degree of safety in our in-person meetings and group.
Yes.
So of those 3 elements of Sternberg's type of love, I think the intimacy is there not only with each other but hopefully with ourselves, because the 3 elements of Sternberg's theory can also be applied to ourselves. We can be committed to ourselves. We can have intimacy with ourselves as we go inwards and notice and practice inquiring and attending to ourselves. And maybe we can be passionate about ourselves as well, and learning about ourselves and caring about ourselves. So I wanted to just turn that around to self-love, which is one of the Greeks' 6 forms of love. What do you think about that?
I love it. I think it's very complete and probably a perfect way to round off. Those of you that are in our face-to-face community, if you'd like to just share a little bit about any of those 3 qualities of Sternberg's framework, passion, intimacy and commitment, that you have gleaned from your experience in the yoga and psychology community, otherwise known as the nonviolent communication community. Yes, here we go. We've got Steph's response to you, Rachel. She says, yes, my psychologist wants me to focus on my inner child and love towards her. Yes, I can relate to that.
And I would add to the inner child focus, which I think is so important, is the inner adolescent, because it wasn't just our child selves who experienced rejection, criticism, hurt, punishment, those kind of things, but often it was in adolescence. So we need to also love and heal and forgive and embrace our inner adolescent.
And the technique that we practiced together, the 4-step framework by Marshall Rosenberg, separate to Sandberg, but it can be used to build love towards that part of us that is still responding like a child, or that part of us that is still responding like an adolescent. So thank you for that, Steph.
And I just want to say one thing, because we had a comment on the earlier post where I put a picture of a woman kissing the mirror, and Stephen said, is that narcissism? I just wanted to say a quick word about when the Greeks talked about self-love. I can't remember the Greek word for self-love now. It included self-correction and self-responsibility. So it wasn't narcissism in the sense that I'm perfect, I can do no wrong. It wasn't a grandiose form of self-love. It was a form of emotional self-care where part of looking after ourselves is a bit like looking after a child. We need to kind of make corrections when we've gone off course, learn from our mistakes. That kind of self-responsible self-love is not narcissism. I wanted to make that point for Stephen, if you're watching Stephen.
Yes, beautiful. Thanks, Rach. Sarah says that definitely intimacy and commitment is real during the Sunday groups. Thank you for that validation, Sarah, because it certainly feels that for me. I mean, some of my most intimate moments happen on those Sunday sessions. And interestingly, the intimacy can be almost mundane, I want to say. Like, it's very precious and very sacred and very gentle. But the NBC has shown me how accessible intimacy is. You know, it doesn't only happen in the bedroom, for example. It doesn't only happen.
That's right. It's very much a mental, emotional thing, and often only that. And, you know, when I tell my colleagues that I love my clients, and you probably feel the same way about your clients, Alexis, you know, I'm not being either creepy or joking. I mean that I love my clients because I love the intimacy of the work that I do, and I feel a sense of commitment to my clients, and very much so, and a strong sense of ethics. And to me, that fits with Sternberg's theory of love. So, you know, I'm not ashamed or embarrassed at all to say that I love my clients and that I love the people I've gotten to know at the Sunday practice group either.
Yes, yes. Speaking of which, I'm so stoked that the practice group has started to run itself. For example, Libby, who has become our in the moment researcher, says that self-love, Rachel, is philautia, isn't it?
That's the word I was looking for, yes.
Philautia? I wonder how you pronounce that.
I'm not sure.
Philautia, that's beautiful.
Philautia.
Philautia. Thank you, Libby. And I just wanted to comment on Sarah's mention of commitment, which is something that has kind of surprised me about the practice group, given that we started it as an extension on our May retreat. Oh my God, that's 2 years ago now. And then now it has become a real experience of commitment in a way that, for me has been about building a secure attachment outside of my family, and that was quite unexpected. I don't think I realised that commitment would be so satisfying in a way that returned to me. I feel a secure connection to you lot. This is you guys, our dear community. So thank you for that mention of commitment, Sarah. So there's just a couple more comments here, and then I think we're ready to call it a day. Mia says, thank you both for validating intimacy, especially within friendships. Yes. What, do you have something to say on that, Rachel?
Oh my goodness. When I get clients in my office who tell me they don't have any friendships as such, I know they mean they don't have any emotional intimacy with other people, and my heart sometimes sinks. You know, I want to do what I can to help them and all of that, you know, as a therapist, but as a human being, my heart swells with gratitude that I do have friends such as you, Alexis, who I have a lot of emotional intimacy with.
Yes.
I just think it's so, you know, they say that a burden shared is halved, and it's so true. When we feel so alone with our struggles, it feels so much harder. And the intimacy of friendship, gosh, I wish I'd prepared something to say about this, other than it's profoundly beneficial to my mental health, and I know that it is to all human beings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to say, come here, you. It's exactly right. And I've seen that in the group, that intimacy, which is not, it's not hard. I mean, there is an element of vulnerability, as in the more open I am to my dear friends, the more I can be hurt by the loss of the friendship or by any sense of betrayal or rejection or abandonment, and yet the joy of connection and closeness and security far outweighs that pain or suffering.
And as they say, nothing risked, nothing gained. We must emotionally take emotional risks if we want connection and intimacy.
Yes, nicely said, Rachel. Libby says, I think intimacy has changed for me over the years. It has evolved as I have, but also with the language that I can use. I can vouch for that too, Libby. Language facilitates intimacy. Yeah. Any comments on that, Rachel?
Well, I mean, conversing and communicating words is one of the ways we connect, and it does become very powerful the more verbal we become. So, you know, you see primary school kids connect a lot through play. High school kids start to connect more through conversation, and as I think language dominates our brains in this culture, inevitably, more and more as we get older, being able to have language to put our feelings and needs and other invisible experiences into words to try and help ourselves be understood and to understand others. So much of intimacy is being seen and heard, but it's being understood. Like, this person gets me, they get what I'm saying. And of course, language facilitates that to a large degree. So having a language, Libby's absolutely right, it definitely helps. It helps with intimacy.
Thank you for that, Rachel. You've brought that to the community very clearly and distinctly. Language as a means of intimacy.
And we must remember to be like primary school kids sometimes and have intimacy through play as well when we can.
Nice. Yes, true. As we have been in our non-linear movement. Okay, last few questions. Steph says, growing up, I believed that no matter your family, you had to love them and do anything. I have now learned that's not true. Yeah.
There's a lot of grief in that, isn't there? But you can't have intimacy with someone who you can't have intimacy with, and you don't have to stay committed to someone when you don't feel safe to them. You know, that you're absolutely right what you've said, Steph. Couldn't say it any better, and there's a grieving that has to be done there. But fortunately, we get to choose our friends and acquaintances, huh?
Yes. I'm definitely an advocate for letting go of relationships that don't serve. Not, obviously commitment, as we've been talking about, but even with family, that can be devastating but necessary. Thank you for sharing, Steph. And yes, she says that's where my confusion about love has come from.
Another way, I just wanted to add this because it's been helpful to me lately in my own personal life.
Yeah.
And it's Marshall Rosenberg's distinction between life affirming and life alienating. And I think that's a really lovely way to think about love as well. If a situation or a person is life affirming for me, I'll generally feel pretty good even when it's hard. And if it's life alienating, I feel alienated from myself, disconnected from myself, disconnected from the other. I may feel shame. I may feel excessive amounts of fear. That's life alienating. And so I think we have to give ourselves permission to choose life affirming connections and life affirming situations.
Yes, that's a very powerful snippet too, Rachel. I think we can bring that into the community, the use of that language.
It's very big. Try it out in your own life. Is this life affirming or life alienating? See what you come up with.
Well, that feels like a wonderful place to end. We've got your dear mum saying, well done. Though she kept losing sound and vision. I'm not sure why that would be, Lorraine. I'm sorry that was your experience, but so sweet to have you here. And the rest of you.
Hi, Mum.
There's commitment and passion. And what was the third one? Intimacy, right there.
Yes, my mum and I are quite close.
That's gorgeous. All right, everybody. Well, thank you again for joining us. I'm Alexis Dennehy. I'm a public health practitioner. I'm a yoga therapist. I'm also a naturopath. I work here in Graceville. We run we run an in-person monthly practice group. I have here with me Dr. Rachel Hannam, Principal Psychologist of North Brisbane Psychologists. And our next practice group will be the end of June. So we meet the last Sunday of every month. Please come and show your faces. We have a few people who travel a bit of a way to meet us, and we really value your presence in person so that we can connect with you online like this and know who you are and really know who you are. So thank you to Steph and Mia and Libby and all of you watching. A joy to share what we love doing best with you lot. Any final comments, Rachel?
Indeed. Just to flag that we are going to be running a retreat on Australia in September, which we'll talk more about closer to the time, but I'm looking forward to it. So we can, put some details up, let everyone know about that soon. Just want to plant the seed.
Thank you, my darling. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy your evening.
Yes, thanks, Alexis.
Ciao for now. Bye.
Bye.